Hello, Gumtown. We are live with Mrs. Phadra Carson Foster, and she's a candidate for Montgomery County Board of Education, District 5. How are you doing this afternoon, Ms. Foster?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time to talk to Gumtown this afternoon. So, for people who don't know you, tell us, who is Mrs. Phadra Carson Foster?
I am, of course, a candidate for Montgomery Public School Board, District 5. I am a mother of 2 graduates of MPS. I myself graduated from Jeff Davis in 1987. Go Vols. I am currently an instructor in the Department of Languages and Literature at the Alabama State University. I am a volunteer with the PTA. I currently serve as the president of the Montgomery County Council PTA, and I sit on a committee for the National PTA. I have previously served as secretary for the state PTA. In my capacity as a college instructor, I have taught dual enrollment for the district.
Wow.
From ASU, and when I was at AUM, even when I was still in graduate school. I've taught intermediate freshman composition. I've also taught remedial, which is one of the reasons I feel so passionately about getting involved in K through 12 education, because if I can, get somebody prepared after they've gone through K through 12, then I think we can tweak our system a little bit so that our students are prepared once they get to college. So mom, educator, volunteer, advocate, that's who I am.
That's great. That's great. So tell us, why are you running for the Montgomery County School Board?
I am running because, well, first of all, as an educator, like I said, I know what our students need to be preparing for, those who want to take the college path, the same for those who want to be career ready. I do believe our students need to be college and career ready for the 21st century. We went through a major shift around 2007. We're no longer in the industrial age. We are now in the information age. And I think that it is important for us to be preparing students. I think it's important for those of us who have gone through the education system after that shift to take our place in government. I will be the candidate that not only knows what it's like to have a child go through school during the pandemic, but I've taught during the pandemic. But I recently got a master's in legal studies in preparation for running for this position, so I know what it's like to go to school during the pandemic. And I think that having people on your school board who have real world experience for the circumstances that our students are going through is really important. The other thing is that, I was able to graduate as a national achievement finalist. My son was one of the when he graduated, that was the last class to achieve that status. I was able to get a presidential scholarship to Alabama. He got a scholarship to Vanderbilt. And so in a lot of ways, I know what our district is capable of when it works the way that it's supposed to work. My daughter has a chancellor scholarship to the University of Alabama, but I got to see during the intervention, when things kind of went chaotic, what are some of the problems in our district? What are some of the issues that parents have to deal with? And with working with the National PTA, I can see that some of the issues we have in our district are not unique to our district. They are issues that people around the country have, but at the same time, I've gotten to see how they manifest themselves in Montgomery. And I want to make sure that our students have access to a free and appropriate public education, and that all the services that they are entitled to, that they can get them. I also want to make sure, as a teacher, that we're investing in our teachers. They deserve to have access to the best possible continuing education. One of the gifts of the pandemic is that we learned that we could bring high quality training to any place in the world. And so I want our teachers in our district who are so inclined to be able to keep their skills as fresh and as sharp as possible, because I want our students to be, they're entering this different world. I want them to be able to compete with anybody, anywhere, in any field that they choose to go into, be it a tech field, be it a professional field, be it the military, or public service. I want us to prepare them to take whatever exams they need to take to get into whatever field that they dream that they want to go into. And even if some of their dreams take place later, I want to make sure that our high school diploma prepares them for whatever it is that they want to go do.
That's great. That's great. So share with us some of your campaign platform.
Well, my first platform, the primary one, is increased family engagement. Working with the National PTA, they have really acknowledged that perhaps their system hasn't been as inclusive as it could be. Our current national president is mixed race, and she talks about how when she was born, her parents wouldn't have been able to even join the same PTA because they merged about 50 years ago. And so given the fact that, you know, even on a national level there have been issues, I want to make sure that none of that is still manifesting itself in our district. So I want to increase family engagement. I want to make sure that there is a PTA or PTSA in every school in our district. I want to make sure that all of our students and our staff are safe in our schools. I want to make sure that everyone feels welcome, that their families feel welcome, and I want to make sure everybody feels supported, that we are responsive to their needs. So the first part of my plan is to increase family engagement, and that's what I mean. The second part is to increase accountability and transparency. I believe that we should operate from the principle that our ultimate duty of care is to the well-being of students. That means that no policy, practice, or procedure should interfere with the well-being of a child. That's how we operate at the National PTA. We're constantly doing a mission check when, you know, you may be getting into a contentious issue regarding some policy. If it's going to interfere with the well-being of a child, we don't do it. I want to make sure that our practices in our district, the way we do things, conform to district policy and state and federal regulations. And again, transparency. I know that one of the things that disturbed me even with our last school board meeting was that we have a tradition of not holding meetings on the same day that there's an election day, and the board, instead of setting that date during the board meeting, it was like, we'll discuss that later. And I think the public's business needs to be done in public. It's disturbing that we can't set a date in public. That's not transparency. But on a more positive note, finally, I want to increase innovation, and that goes back to what I was saying about providing our teachers with cutting edge training, but also making sure that our students have access to what we know as best practices. I think we are talking about, you know, third graders, that Third Grade Literacy Act, and everybody's like, how do we deal with that? Well, if you see there's a problem in first and second grade, then you address it by going to smaller classroom sizes. I know that as a college, like I said, a college instructor who's done remedial, when we have a remedial class, we cap those at 15 because we know that we have to give those students extra attention in order to prepare them for freshman composition. If we see that problem at an elementary school level, logic dictates that's where we put more resources in terms of teachers, maybe teachers' aides, and we create smaller classroom sizes so we can catch kids up. There was a study 10 years ago, at least, by Columbia that talks about, you know, if you have poor instruction for 1 year, there is a possibility of you to catch that student up. But 2 years in a row, it becomes almost an insurmountable burden. That doesn't mean we can't push and do what we need to do, but I think that we need to recognize that some of the problems that we have, there are already paths to solving them.
Right.
We just need to have the will to go ahead and implement those solutions.
That's great. That's great. So tell us, what areas of Montgomery County does your district cover?
My district covers most of East Montgomery. When I say East Montgomery, I'm talking about like way east out to the county line. So if you look at I-85 all the way over to 331, and then you start like a little bit on Taylor, come down Vaughn and go, well, Bell actually, come down Vaughn and go maybe I would say through Sturbridge, all the way over to 331, and then go all the way to the county line. It almost looks like a baby Montgomery.
Yeah.
It almost looks like an outline of Montgomery within Montgomery.
Yeah.
But it is all that area. So I have, some of the neighborhoods in East Montgomery, and then I have some of the more rural areas in the county. I do have some of the residents whose kids would go to Penlala, and then I've got the school Dunbar Raymer. So in town it would be Halcyon, Carr, Wilson, Blunt. Park Crossing is now in District 6, but definitely Dunbar Raymer. Those are the schools that I have in my district.
All right, thanks for sharing that. So another question, why should the citizens of District 5 vote for you for school board?
Well, I am committed to this this district. I am already doing the work, like I said, as an educator, but also as an advocate. I'm pushing every day. When I leave here today, I've got a PTA meeting. The other thing is I think in addition to already doing this work, I'm invested in this community. My husband owns a business here in Montgomery, and he provides, good professional jobs. And so we kind of feel that if the city is doing well, we're doing well. So we have an investment, I think, in both just the normal things that people have to do with business, but also in having more and more high quality employees. I think when people understand that you have a population of highly skilled people in whatever field, be it collegiate, be it technical, companies and corporations are going to move because we're more of a relationship economy, I would say, nowadays. And people want people who are the best at what they do. And so I am invested in making sure that that's what we have here in Montgomery, especially and the other thing is, I know we talk about college and career readiness, but I understand as a mama that when you are sending your child to kindergarten and first grade, you really are. You're hoping, they'll do all of these things that they dream of, but what you want most importantly is to know that your child is safe and loved.
Right.
And
right.
I understand that, and I think that that's the most important thing, that people are sending us their best. And so, yeah, you should vote for me because I recognize I'm going to dream the dreams that other people dream for their children along with them.
That's good. That's wonderful. So how can someone contact you to give some more information, maybe to volunteer or donate to your campaign?
Well, in order to do all three of those things, you can go to phadrafoster.com very easily, PHADRA, foster.com. And that gives you an opportunity to learn more about my platform, to sign up to volunteer, and many hands make light work. I would love to have people to help me canvas. And then also there's a platform to donate, that is raisethemoney.com. And that's a really good way to donate if you are giving $100 and above. I also have a Cash App. And $5 buys a sign, and that is $ Foster for D5. Make it very simple. Foster for District 5. Again, cash sign Foster for D5.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And is there anything else you would like to share with Gumptown and the community today?
I just want everybody to do their research on the candidates and make sure that they are putting in the work, that they have a platform that lines up with your values. But most of all, everybody needs to vote. I will say this, in the middle of my district does sit Pike Road, and I've worked with a lot of the citizens out there in different volunteer capacities. But we need to make sure that everyone who says that they live in our district actually lives in our district. And that is what I'm going to say about that. But most of all, please vote on November the 8th, and please, I would appreciate it if you would vote for me, Phadra Carson Foster.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Foster. There you have it, Ms. Phadra Carson Foster from Montgomery County Board of Education, District 5. She's asking for your vote and your support. Make sure you get out to the polls on November the 8th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Gumptown Magazine, we be everywhere.